Hey, what's going on? Happy New Year's to you and Happy New Year's to yours. Be safe out there. Don't get too drunk. Make sure that you stay social distance. I hope that you're vaxxed. If that's your deal, I want to tell you now, this is going to be the top stories of 2021, a recap of the year 2021 told in sports, news, politics, music, movies, television, RIPs. Now, the list is entirely too long to give to you here. So I'm not going to go through everything, but I'm going to go through what I think were the highlight moments of the year. But you can see my complete list if you just go to strangetalk.wixsite, wixsit.com. That is my website. You can go there. You can see the complete sports, news, RIPs, movies, television, and music list. But let's do this. And I appreciate you being with me. Once again, Happy New Year's to you. Happy 2022. I hope 2022 is a better year for you and yours than 2021 and 2022. It's been my pleasure bringing you back in thought some of the things that happened in 2021. I'm hoping for a better year in 2022. And like I said, you could just always just go to my website and see what I'm up to. Matter of fact, I'm starting a running fluid list for 2022. If you have any suggestions, you could just hit me up. And you can hit me up by going to my website. Like I said, it's strangetalk.wixsite.com. Quite simple. And there I have a running board of who passed away, top stories, top news, top music, top, you know me, you name it. Anything that happens in 2022, I'm going to document and then talk about. As you can see, I keep it kind of shotgun style. It's not something I want to draw out very long. I appreciate you. I appreciate you helping my numbers improve in 2021. I appreciate every time somebody shouts out to me and says anything, positive or negative. I appreciate every like. I appreciate every share. I'm an appreciative person because there's a lot of other things that you can do and you don't have to do them with me. So I say, bless you. You have a great New Year's. You have a great, wonderful, blessed time. Just be safe. Be good to others and be good to yourself. If you be really good to yourself, you'll be good to others. They go hand in hand. They really do go hand in hand. Being good to you means you're automatically good to other people. Okay? So I'm going to tell you, like I tell you each and every time, people, peace to you. And hey, Happy New Year's to you and Happy New Year's to yours. It's 2022, people. Say goodbye to 2021. I don't know how you did it. And to tell you the God's honest truth, I'm not even giving much of a rat's ass how you brought the year in. I don't care if it was sex and getting high, you was drunk as a skunk, whatever. We've moved on from 2021. I did a wrap-up show of 2021. If you want to go back and check that out, you're more than free to do so. It's just viewership for me, and I appreciate it. There's going to be some differences, a little bit differences about Strange Talk with Doc from 2021 as opposed to 2022. Last year, I think I did too much hand-holding. As I went back and listened to the things that I said, I also did a show called The Things That I Said in 2021. And it seemed like I held a lot of people who listened to me's hands. I tried to get across the point that everything's going to be all right. I'm not qualified to do God's work. So I'm not going to continue to try to do that type of God's work by putting people on my shoulders, weighing myself down, by not maybe saying some of the things as hardcore style as I should, because I want people to feel good. Yes, I want you to feel good, but it's not my responsibility nor my job to constantly big up those who listen to me. You have to do that for yourself. Once again, people, Happy New Year's. This is Strange Talk with Da. You can come check out my website. You can share, like, comment. It does not make a difference. I'm always free to suggestions. If there's a subject matter that you want to talk about or come in, or you think that I said something that was off-centered, off-cuff, that didn't make sense to you, it's all good to me. Like I said, we're going to look at this year as a different year. I'm not going to be holding the hands. I'm getting out of the business of doing God's work. I'm going to leave that to God's people to do God's work. It is not my responsibility. I will be the best that I can be, but the holding of hands days are over. Kumbaya my ass, motherfucker. Okay? Kumbaya my ass. It's not that kind of story anymore. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be gutter. I'm going to be raw. I'm going to also tell you, peace to you and peace to you. If you have $2 and you're listening to me today, take your $2. I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but Powerball is worth $522 million. $522 million. Now, part of this show was if I was a rich man. Now, meaning if I was a rich man, and I'm talking about instant wealth like this $522 million, what would I change and what would remain exactly the same about me? My standards would remain the same. My code of honor would remain the same. My dress code would maybe be upgraded to a degree, but would I become a truck jewelry guy? Would I become a guy who needs to have a $400,000 vehicle? No, I would not. Do I need to live in a home that's bigger than 3,500 square feet? No, I do not. Would I move to a different coast? Wouldn't do it. I'm an East Coaster. I wouldn't move west. So there are a lot of things about me that would not change. One thing that would change drastically is I would have the ability to help other people, but I would never just give anybody the money. They would have to have a business plan presented to me because out of respect, then they'll get respect back. But just somebody coming to me and say, I need 100 grand, I would tell them, you know what, you needed 100 grand yesterday, you'll need 100 grand tomorrow, and you still going to need 100 grand today. I would not just willy-nilly just throw the money around because I would have the money. You would have to come up with a business plan so that I know that you'd be able to take care of yourself and never return to me for another dime again. Now, if you did that properly, then I would help you out if I could. And I wanted to keep that brief, but that's it. $522 million. Do what you got to do. We haven't had a lot of stuff like that. I'm a big YouTube listener. So by just some circumstance, I come across this dude, Whack 100. I had heard the name before, but I don't know nothing about him. I did no research on him. I didn't look him up on Wikipedia. I didn't look him up anywhere. But I'm seeing that he's on this Clubhouse and he is constantly battling people. Now, I don't really have an opinion on this guy one way or another. But what I will say is this dude's got stamina like I've never seen out of another human being before, where he can literally battle nonstop. And obviously he gets to sleep. He's able to conduct his business and make his money. But to put so much energy into battling so many people verbally, I don't come from a place where that's normal. I come from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Motherfuckers squabbled. They got it on. They got it over. The dudes who usually did a lot of barking, they got dealt with. Now, I'm not to say anything about this dude. This dude could be the most upright and solid man there is because I don't know him. So that part I won't judge. But I say, you know what? God bless this dude for just having an energy and a stamina to be able to do this. But then I think about this. Clubhouse was a startup business about a year or so ago. And maybe because he has some finances, he's a big backer of Clubhouse financially. And this is a way to put them on the map. So if he's doing this for business reasons, because it's still entertainment at the end of the day, it's still entertainment. And it's actually, to me, fairly funny because I get to hear things that I don't normally hear. People talk about not directly giving up any information. I'm not going to say that, so don't get me wrong. But they talk about politics. So you know that there's street politics. Now, I've heard people say stupid shit on YouTube and maybe even during some of these broadcasts. You don't have to be a gang member to be a street person. You don't have to be a gang member to have street credibility. Because I grew up in New York where there really were no gangs in my day. We had the Tomahawks and the Jolly Stompers, and then they went out. The Five Percenters came in, and after that, for decades, maybe 2 decades until the Decepticons came, there really were no gangs in New York. There were little crews and posses, but we didn't have what you would call a total street politics because there were no OGs like that in New York City. And if they were running their crews. And if you had nothing to do with them and you stayed out of their lanes, they didn't even bother with you. But to say that street people and guys don't have a name because no gang can call their name up, that's bullshit. And anybody perpetuating that lie should be ashamed of themselves because I've known plenty of people who've done massive amount of time in jail, got some bodies on them, and they have never been affiliated or associated with any tribe known to man. Their tribe members were called Colt 45, 357, 9 millimeter. That was their gang. But like I said, if you're interested in this dude, Whack 100, you could check him out. There's 9 million videos of him arguing with different people online. Some of them are entertaining, and I'm sure I'm going to get bored with this very soon because it's just not my world. I don't like the loudness. I don't like the back and forth. I don't see it really going anywhere. Sometimes you got 5, 6 people talking over each other, and then somebody will occasionally scream out one mic, which means I guess everybody shut it down, let the speaker speak. But that's just the way that goes. So you know what? Keep entertaining us, SWAC 100. I wish you nothing but the best. Enjoy your life. Keep that stamina up. What you should do is a video on how the hell do you get and keep that kind of stamina. What do you eat? How do you work out? Do you jog 10 hours a day? Do you sleep 10? The other 10 hours a day and 4 hours you just fuck around talking? I don't know because you're running, you're saying that you're loaded. So I guess when you're loaded and you ain't got to worry about bills and things like that, it gives you some leisure in life. Hello, and welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. We're going to start off each and every show. As you know, we talk sports, we talk news, we talk entertainment, we don't gossip, we don't spread rumors, we talk about movies, music, news, that type of thing. We'll give our RIPs. But I like to start each and every show off, and this is the way I'm going to do it. If you can bear with me, take 2 minutes. I like to talk about the subject matter that I'm dealing with to begin the show because I'm not a clickbaiter. I'll never post a title that does not revolve around what I'm talking about. So we want to say fuck what anyone says. You're not asking for their fucking opinion. And why does it matter their opinion anyway? Because you need to know what in the world are their intentions to give you unsolicited advice about what you are going to do. If you're a thought out person, if you're a calculated person, if you're a person who thinks about what they do beforehand, you just don't go off sheer emotions. Literally and figuratively, before I pull the trigger, I done breathed, I done thought about the situation, I've evaluated, was there another alternative for me to do what I'm doing? Like people have advised me, Doc, why don't you do a video podcast? You know you get more viewers, you get more clicks. And you know what? They probably are 100% right. But do I want a degree of my own anonymity? Sure, I do. And that's why I don't plaster my face everywhere because it does not make a difference to me. I'm not looking for any form of fame or things like that. So, verbally is the only way that I will do this podcast. So, I really didn't ask for this advice. I don't want this advice anymore. I don't want anybody else suggesting this to me. It's not my deal. Radio still exists. It still exists in forms and fashions all over. There are a lot of people on YouTube who only put up clips of pictures, which I do. And if that means I get less viewership on a video site like YouTube, I do not care. But I do not live my life based on what other people say about me, because I'd also say this. I never ask anybody directly what they think of me. That is none of my business. Their actions and how they conduct themselves towards me will let me know. I evaluate, like I said, I evaluate, I look at the circumstances, the situations, and I figure it out from there. So do not live your life if you can living it according to somebody else's rules and regulations, and that includes anything I say. You're not going to tell me what is a fly pair of sneakers. You're not going to tell me what's a good looking jacket or that belt looks cheap. Fuck you. I have to live this life. It is mine and mine's alone, and I will take the consequences, the slings and arrows, whatever comes my way, for making the decisions that I stand on. That's the problem. People don't stand on their sword. And I would love and appreciate to meet more pensions when they unsolicited offer you advice all the time. Are they just trying to push you in the direction that they would like to see you go? Are they doing it for your best interest at heart? You have to evaluate. You have to think. You think about their patterns. You think what kind of person this is. Think about how much love they have for you. Are they jealous of you? Do they want you to fail so that they can go ha ha ha? I mean, there's a lot of variables to everything. And I did a show on this not long ago. You got to look at everything from every single angle to figure out the puzzle. You can't just look at something head on and say, that's it. No, sometimes there's some sideways shit. There's some stuff underneath the surface. There's some stuff floating above it. You need to look at that whole picture. You look at the whole picture, you see the beauty, you see the ugly, you see whatever it is that needs to be. I'm not one of those people that's trying to draw you in for no reason. I have a point to make it. I'm going to make it, and I'm going to make it right now. And it's simple. Real talk. I'm not your nigga. And if you're sensitive, you need to fast forward 5 minutes from now till I get off of this topic, because I'm going to hit on this topic right now. I ain't nobody's nigga. Let's start off with the word my. My states ownership. So you don't own me. Nobody owns me. So they don't have to right to refer to me as my anything, other than my wife saying that that's my husband, or a child saying that's my father, or that's my relative. But no, my does not involve me, because that, like I said, states ownership, and I don't allow anybody to claim ownership of me in any way, shape, or form. I find the word nigger to probably be the most offensive word in the whole English language. It is super offensive. It is offensive to me spoken by a white person. It is super offensive if it is sent towards me by a fellow black person. It's an insult. It's a contemptuous term. It's offensive. Sometimes I understand that people, especially black people, excuse me, don't always intend it to be as an offensive term. But in my lifetime, when you throw words after nigger around, okay, I understand my nigger, but if it's said in an aggressive manner, then it's an insult. Little nigger, fat nigger, yellow nigger, stupid nigger, dumb nigger, broke nigger. Those are offensive fucking terms. There has to be another way, shape, or form that you can use a word without using nigger. You can call somebody anything. You know what? Here's something refreshing. You can call another black man by his fucking name. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe using his title, his name, his nickname, his government name, anything. And the reason that I'm even speaking on this is this fucking Clubhouse app, which I find to be appalling. I have not seen anything positive as far as Clubhouse as of yet. And maybe there are some super positive rooms, and maybe you can turn me on to one. But most of these rooms are offensive. There's no civility. It's just arguing back and forth, people slandering each other's name, grown ass men debating on who has how much money and what money, how much time I spent in the Bing. I could walk the yard, and this motherfucker couldn't walk the yard. It's all trivial bullshit. Now I understand that old things go out of favor and then they become popular again because this is a fucked up version of a chat room from the 1980s and late 70s or mid 90s, whenever the fuck chat rooms was around. In Clubhouse, somebody's getting paid, but these conversations are being taped. And who says that everybody is signing some kind of waiver? Maybe when you sign up for Clubhouse, you sign a waiver that you can be taped and that these things can be used on social media websites. Because think about it. A lot of people are sitting on there arguing. Grown ass men are arguing all day, which makes us look bad. Then somebody is smart enough to now use these arguments to pump up their viewership on their site. You're not getting monetized, but you allow somebody to be monetized off of your beef. And why would you publicly state your beef with people on a fucking phone app where the United States government can tap in? Now, next week, I am going to do a whole nother show, and that show is going to revolve around my life, legally being dangerous, and how the fucking federal government, because I know a little bit about the federal government. I'm not going to go into details of myself and my dealings with the federal government. But if you were from New York City, you would know what MDC is. You would know what 500 Pearl Street is. I had access to 500 Pearl Street on a daily basis. I could leave that building without being checked. My ID was such that I didn't even have to go through a check. And this is after 9/11. I could walk through the gates, show my ID, and that's all I'm going to give you. I knew the floors, every judge in the building. I spent more time at MDC dropping off fucking commissary, picking up people's legal documents, uh, setting up phone calls between parents and children, husbands and wives, putting money on people's books, delivering clothes to fucking inmates. So I'm not going to tell you who I am, but you make a fucking decision on your own of what that is. And these people are playing with fire. That Clubhouse app is playing with fire. There are people on there who are incriminating themselves, don't even realize they really are incriminating themselves because in their sick ass minds, they think they know the law. They don't know the law. I have forgotten more law than most of the people who are sitting there know because a fool has a client, is their own client. And a lot of these guys are sitting there and they spouting off at the mouth. They're ratting on each other. They're talking about paperwork. I mean, it's a lot of nonsense going on there. It's not a good look. Fuck Clubhouse app. Period. Point blank. I don't want nothing else to do with it. I'm never going back on there until somebody can show me something. And I'm not one of those pro kumbaya, red, black, and green black men. But I am woke enough to know that the negativity that this thing breeds, because if I was a young white kid who hated black people, this would be like my favorite show. I would go there just to listen to these crazy motherfuckers talk shit all day because it's like a TV show on radio. A lot of Amos and Andy's running around. I'm the baddest this, I'm the baddest that, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm off that subject, but the real deal is don't be nobody's nigga. Don't allow nobody to treat you like a nigga. Don't allow nobody to refer to you as a nigga. Give them your name. When they make that mistake, you cut it short and you say, hey, listen, that ain't me, dude. I don't know what the fuck you talking about. And I ain't the toughest man alive, but I ain't nobody's pussy. And I'm not trying to use no cliches from Tupac or anything like that. But you don't have to accept disrespect. And you allow somebody to disrespect you when they use those type of terms to refer to you. You know, you have a name. You might have built a name. Let that name ring bells, not nigga. My nigga, little nigga. Who the fuck is that, really? This is a term that was used by slave masters to denigrate a people. And we are 400 years later using it to denigrate ourselves. Now, if we can't even come to the agreement that we can call each other better terms, then how the fuck we gonna ever build anything in this country, in this world? Like I said, next week's show is going to deal with my life as being a one-man army, legally dangerous guns, golf, drums, and podcasting. Now, I spoke about this earlier, but I don't know if it got cut off or not, And the real talk is, I'm not your nigga. I'm never going to be anybody's nigga. It's an offensive term. I don't see the love in it. I don't see how two people come to agreement that I'm going to call you the most offensive word in the whole fucking language, and you're going to take that as a form of love. Okay, like I stated before, mine states ownership. My nigga. That means you are personally his insulting term. Like he owns or she owns you. I understand that we use it amongst each other as a form of love, but I don't take it as a form of love. I think that once you call anybody something nigga, that the civility goes out the window, because civility is when two people are being civil to one another. But how I'm going to call you fat nigga, stupid nigga, dumb nigga, broke nigga, and I am being civil to you? No, I'm being hostile to you. This is a word that shows hostility, even when it's spoke amongst the people of the same race. You don't see Jewish people calling each other my K, or Hispanics using the S word between each other. No, because they don't. They're more intelligent enough not to do foolishness. And fucking Clubhouse app is a place that perpetuates this kind of talk. Please, if somebody knows someplace on Clubhouse where people talk back and forth in a civil, respectable manner, where they don't out each other, they don't say vile things to each other constantly, which I don't understand. Why are people in chat rooms in 2022? We have nothing better to do. There's no skill that you can learn. Your body's in perfect shape. Your home is all together. There's no language you can learn. There's no time that you could spend with your children. I mean, you could be using this time to do something positive, to learn something new. We don't all know it all. I love studying, and that's going to be a part of why I consider myself a one-man army, legally dangerous. I deal with guns, golf, drum, and podcasts. And there's a lot of study goes into these things. And I'm going to get into that next week. I'm going to leave that alone for now. But a lot of study goes into learning each one of those things that I am into. You can't just pick it up, run with it, and think you're good. No, you got to study. Okay, is it good that they're becoming computer savvy, fucking around with apps? Yes, but for the most part, most of these conversations sound horrible because it's phone to phone. You got people talking over each other, and if they don't respect you or know your name, they block you in these rooms. The activity there is childish, it's outlandish, it's allowing some people to profit and a lot of people to be used. And I think it's foolish for those who allow themselves to be used to allow this to continue, because somebody is being monetized. And is it you? If you're not the person being monetized, think about it. People steal these conversations. They download these conversations from the apps by just sitting in a room, and then they post it to their website where they're getting the 50, 60, 70,000 views. What are you getting? You're getting aggravation. You're getting aggravation. You're talking shit. You're wasting time. You're not making any money while you're doing that. What you're doing is giving yourself a fucking headache because somebody's getting under your skin, and you allowing somebody to get under your skin when you don't even have to deal with that. Talk about, and I know you didn't ask me to, but I don't really care. We're going to talk about my life and how I've always considered myself a one-man army. Now, this is to be taken figuratively, not literally. I am not talking any Rambo shit. I'm not talking about one person who could take on the world, but one-man army mentality, being legally dangerous, love of guns, golf, drums, and podcasting, and how I do all these things on a solo basis because I have a set of rules and regulations that you can probably apply to your life also. But the first things first, you must be a no gang person. These will not work for you if you are a gang mentality person, because I am talking a solo artist in all forms, shapes, and fashions who does not depend on others, who is self-reliant, disciplined. And I want to get into this because the gang mentality means that you could be in an army, you can be a soldier, but you're not a one man or one person army. You rely on the help and handout and backing of others. There are some amongst us who do not need that. I am one of those people, and I trained myself over the years. So let's go into these aspects. You must be fully disciplined. You have to have rules and codes that you must abide by at all times. They cannot be broken for anything or anybody at any point in any time. Your word must be your bond. You must live and die on your word. It's supposed to be as though God Himself spoke when you speak. You can't ever arrive late to anything. Always be early. You don't have to make your presence known, but you must arrive early. If it's something's due at 8 o'clock, be there at 7:45. You don't, like I said, you don't have to make an announcement. Just be there. Always make people, you wait for them. They never wait for you. You must keep your plans to yourself. Show them your results. Don't tell them your plans. Show them your actions. Your plans, your words, those are garbage. That's just air blowing out your mouth. You can't do that because people will come against your plans. You give them opportunities to put roadblocks. You give them opportunities to put pitfalls. You give them opportunities to put negativity in your mind when you tell them your plans. Your results, like I said, is what count. Never ask what somebody is thinking of you. They will show you. Their actions will show you what they think of you. It will show you if they respect you, if they love you, if they fear you. So you don't have to act. You just have to be vigilant enough to look, see, listen, and learn. Me personally, I have never been a big fan of people. I have never, since I was a child, been a big fan of people. I love people. I keep people at a more than an arm's length distance. I study people because I am a human also. You have to remember everything that you tell somebody because that's a part of holding your word. You have no bond if you can't even remember what you tell people what you said. So it's best to never be a liar. Don't give any more information than you need. It's easy to remember the truth. Don't ever wait for somebody to help you. Be self-reliant, like I said, and I'm going to continue to say. Make sure that you have all the help that you need. Be self-efficient. Be a saver. Don't be a borrower. Make sure that you swirl things away, that you're smart about your money, that you're smart about your health, you're smart about your relationships. And this way, you never really have to be asking for help. You can actually be the help, but never be the person who needs the help. Your code must be strong. A man with no code is not a man. As simple as that to me. You cannot allow yourself to show fear, even when you're in circumstances where you're outnumbered, you're outgunned, you on you. The possibility of losing is great, but you can't give them the one thing that you own. That's your fear mechanism. Because once you start showing fear, you stop thinking. You stop thinking about how to react to situations. You stop thinking about how to get out of situations, how to you go to the point of you've already lost. Instead of saying, I have a possibility to win. See, fear is doubt, and doubt brings on loss. You have to stay humble. Remain humble at all times. Never become arrogant because you're winning. And never, ever become so full of yourself that you think that you're better than anybody else. That's when you will lose. That's when your enemy or your opponent can use whatever they have against you to beat you. You got to learn to look, listen. Look and listen is everything. That will show you everything that you need to know about every situation. I don't care if it's work, school, church, the dudes on the corner. They will show you their patterns if you take the time to listen and look. Learn to be selfie. Self is the ability to get in and out of situations, neighborhoods, without anybody knowing that you're there. You done come and you done left, and nobody knows this. I practiced this as a child. 12, 13 years old, when I first used to start hanging out with other guys, I would be able to appear on the block and disappear off the block without anybody ever even knowing when I left and when I came, because I didn't announce my presence and I didn't announce when I was leaving. I would even use tactics as, I'm just going to the store, and before you know it, you haven't seen me for 5 days. You have to be able to get in and out of situations without being detected. And that means loud mouths, this won't work for you. Don't talk too much and never talk too soon. Don't really speak unless spoken to. Offer no information. Give no information, as little information to everybody in your life as humanly possible. Remain a mystery. Be mysterious at all times. It will work in your benefit. The person who tells you everything, every little secret, they are bound to lose. When they meet a person like me, they have already lost, because I am gathering information on how that I can beat them. That's just who I am and what I am. That's the kind of snake that I am. I'm going to use what you give me as equipment and ammunition against you. I'm going to set your own grenades off on you. I don't need to use my grenades because you've given me the grenades. Never argue with any man. Once the conversation gets to the point of arguments, it is escalated to the point where no reason is being seen, no reason is being heard. It's just two people going at it. I refuse to argue with another human being. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to state my case. I'm going to know my case. I'm going to know my facts before I speak on them. So there's no need to argue. You can accept them or you can reject them. That is a personal choice of the other party. And I really would not care less. You, like I said before, you got to be honest. You need to remember every story that you told to somebody, because you might be called back on this again. And do you want to look like a liar? Do you want to look like a phony? Do you want to look like a fake? You've given them the ample opportunity to call you all those things when they could put holes in the stories that came out of your mouth. These were stories that you did not have to tell, but you gave them up, so you should be at least able to remember them. Stay out of other people's lanes. You must stay out of lanes that do not belong to you. I stepped into a lane once when I was about 15 years old, and that cost me dearly. It cost me and changed the course of my life. Somebody opened fire on me and shot at me 5 times. Luckily, I was not hit by any of those bullets. I don't know if it was the grace of God, it wasn't my time, what it was. This person was only 5 feet away from me, but I was out of pocket. I never blamed that person. I actually thanked that person, because that person saved my life. That person who opened fire, who couldn't shoot like shit, but they changed my life and saved my life. I had been told before, but I didn't heed the warning. Stay in your lane, my friend. Stay in your lane. This is not what you do. Don't do it. Shooters are shooters. Thieves are thieves. Hustlers are hustlers. Dope dealers are dope dealers. Guys who are 9 to 5ers are 9 to 5ers. They're not lames. They're 9 to 5ers. They take care of their family. They do what they're supposed to do. And this was the one time I decided I was going to be something that I wasn't, and I almost paid for it in my life. So stay in the lane that you are fit to be in. Don't lie. Ask a lot of questions of people. Don't be nosy. Nosy is not good. If a person is not there, don't speak of them. If a person is not there, don't ask about them. If you're not really in their life, leave them alone. You will have a lot less difficulties in life if you learn to not ask so many questions, because you might not really want the answer if you're dealing with an honest person to the question that you ask. You can't trust anybody. Soldiers cannot trust anybody who's not in the foxhole with them. And then even the person that's in the foxhole with them, can you measure their heart? Can you measure their fear? Can you measure their dedication? Can you measure that they won't self-preserve over protecting you? So don't trust anybody. Don't, and I mean, when I mean anybody, don't trust anybody. I've never trusted anybody. I can't call anybody my friend, because with me, friendship means that I trust you, and I trust you with my life, and I don't trust anybody but myself with my life and my higher power. Know your limitations. There are things you can do, things that you can do. But if you can defy your limitations, then please proceed to do so. But do so with caution, because it is a limitation. Now, when you come to the point in time in your life where there is no way out of this army soldier becoming a physical being, be utterly vicious, be savage, show absolutely no mercy to your opponent. If it's verbally, physically, financially, wreck them, destroy them where there is no coming back. I did not say murder them, but destroy them. Uh, to me, there's no such thing as a fair fight. You level the playing field. Level the playing field. This is not schoolyard shit where somebody says, don't do that. No, fuck that. The eyes, the throat, the nose, it's all eligible. You do whatever you have to do to level the playing field so that you're not the one ending up in the hospital. And if somebody's trying to destroy you verbally, if you have used some of these tactics that I've told you about, you would have information that would also, you could use back against them, that would shut them down. Uh, I'm from the neighborhood, I'm from the street, and we used to do this thing called ranking. Ranking is when you know, you sit on the corner and you talk about each other like dogs, hopefully so that people would laugh. I was always amongst the most vicious if I ever got involved in it, because I would always use real life scenarios of things that I seen. Maybe I seen your mother do something, your auntie. Nobody's off limits. As far as I'm concerned, you're not off limits. Once somebody's trying to hurt you, you do what you can to hurt them. Now, that's basically some of the codes and secrets that you need to know to learn how to become a one-man army. Like I said, I didn't say anything about no Rambo shit. I didn't say anything about one man being able to take on a whole neighborhood. But if a dude is selfie enough, if he's smart enough, he has tactics, he has a code, he has honor, he can come and go and be undetected. He can take care of himself in situations even when violence may occur. Now, guns. The second thing I want to talk about. First of all, you must have a bug out bag. If you do not know what a bug out bag is, you're already out of pocket. You need to study, and I'm not going to go into what the fuck a bug out bag is, but go and look this up. It's very important. If you consider yourself a gun person, if you consider yourself a survivalist, you already have one. You got to know the 5 pillars of engagement that pertain to self-defense. You can't just own a weapon unless you're an illegal and not know and understand the 5 pillars of self-defense, which is innocence, imminence, avoidance, reasonability, and proportionality. You must know what the castle doctrine is. You must know home, vehicle, and legally occupied places. What that entails, you must know your ground laws, or line in the sand, or no duty to retreat laws. You have to know these. Each jurisdiction might have different laws. You must know this concealed carry reciprocity laws in your state or state that you're traveling in. Reasonability factors into the use of deadly force for self-defense, and that's important. You have to practice cleaning, field stripping your weapons. You must know how to field strip your weapon. You must be able to practice in self-defense areas. You need to be able to practice limp wrist shooting. You need to be able to practice. Hopefully you have a gun that you can dry fire. uh, you need to go to the range. Too many people out there own guns illegally, and because they're illegal, they don't get to do these training methods. They don't get to study with others. I've studied and shot with U.S. Navy SEALs. I have studied and shot with Special Forces people. I've studied and shot left-handed, right-handed. I've studied and shot how to actually chamber a weapon if your hand is being shot or you only have the ability to use one hand. Close quarters shooting, far distance shooting. And another thing, when it comes to guns and being a one-man army, I cannot put this out. You should learn some form of physical activity as far as self-defense. I'm an ex-boxer. I was very good with my hands because a lot of these guys, they go to prison. They never fought. They only stabbed and shot. So they really have no ability to protect themselves without a weapon. You must be able to fight. No soldier cannot fight outside of a phone booth. You must be able to, if you're a true soldier, you must be able to fight and defend yourself inside a phone booth, which means a jail cell, a car. I mean, there are ways, shapes, and forms to use your body, your fists, your mind, your abilities to protect yourself. And it's a must. This is not a optional thing. You must be able to defend yourself from physical attack. Now, unfortunately, in my lifetime, I've been stabbed 4 different occasions because I didn't apply some of these rules. These all happened before I made this my bread and butter. None of them were life threatening, none of them were disfigurements, but it happened. I put myself to sleep, and it allowed another person to take advantage of the situation. Excuse me. And taking advantage of the situation led to me getting stitches. And I tell you, it's no fun being stabbed, but I have no fear of being stabbed again. I have no fear of death. I have not had a fear of death since that incident when that man took 5 bullet shots at me. Uh, that ability to fear death left me that day. Uh, it helped me to get around. It helped me to understand that I am not in control of situations. Some situations I am control of, but I'm not even in control of the day I die. And I found that out that very day because I should not be talking to you. You should not be hearing my voice. I should not have even made it these 40 years later because I was right there. I mean, I could see the flash of the muzzle. He was no more than 5 feet away. How this dude missed me 5 times to today, I still do not understand. You got to learn these laws, man. You got to learn these laws of self-defense and deadly force. You can't just carry a pistol. You passed the class, you did this, you did that, but you don't know when you can and you cannot. If a person says, I'm coming back for you, you can't shoot them then. You can't shoot a person who slapped you because the proportionality is not equal. It has to be equal. It has to be deadly force for deadly force. And these are things that you should know. Now, golf. How does golf fit into guns? how does golf fit into being a one-man army? Well, as a black man from Brooklyn, I spent a lot of time. I fell in love with golf. It became a singular activity. It became something that I learned. It was a game of intelligence. It was a game to be quiet, listen, look, learn, figure things out, angles, shapes, shots. It had rules. I learned that I must always be honest, even if I'm playing by myself. My score is my score, and I'm being honest about it. I have etiquette. It makes me want to look good. I never allow anybody to touch my bag, just like I would never allow anybody to touch my weapons. Uh, I learned to play golf basically at Brooklyn Golf Club in New York and Chelsea Piers. I would go there to the driving ranges. And if you're in New York or the surrounding areas and you've never been, please go. It's good places to learn, practice. To me, it's peace. It's peace of mind. When I pick up a golf club and have a little white ball and it's on the tee or it's on the grass, it gives me a sense of peace. It gives me a sense of relaxation. It gives me a sense of, it takes me out of my space and puts me into a different space. I've learned this game. I've been playing this game 30 some odd years. Like I said, I don't need anybody there but myself to realize that I never have to cheat. I'm not kicking the ball back into the fairway, because how do I learn to improve if I don't follow the rules? I'm big on rules. I'm big on regulations. I'm big on honesty, integrity, and etiquette in all shapes, forms, and fashions. Now, I picked up the drums in junior high school. The first thing that I ever played in the percussion family was the double ten, a steel drum double tenor. I'm an American kid, but I learned the steel drums double tenor. Then, as life went on, I was watching MTV and I seen this gentleman named Phil Collins playing the drums. And I said, you know what? I want to do that. And me being the personality that I am, I decided that not only did I want to play the drums, I want to be able to play almost all forms of the drums. So I already had the steel drums, the bongos I learned, the congas, timbales, and I said, even the xylophone. I wanted to know it all. So I studied, I practiced, I go to the studio, no band, no group, because I don't believe in groups. I don't believe in gangs. I think that this is my time to exhibit my freedom, my artistic talent that I may or may not have in somebody else's eye, but I do it. And so instead of getting with other people, I study at the feet of the Phil Collins, the Chester Thompsons, the Dave Grohls, the Buddy Rich, the Charlie Watts, the Ringo Starrs, Stuart Copeland, Gene Krupa, Neil Peart, Ginger Baker, Keith Moon, John Bonham, Chick Webb, Kenny Clark, Tony Williams, and Earl Hudson. This is what I did. I brought their music. I studied their music. I did not want to copy their style, but I wanted to learn something different from each and every person that I respected or heard that I thought was a good drummer. So then it brings me to podcasting, which I used to do with a group of people. I had a partner I podcast with. And for a long time, we podcast together. And for whatever reason, never had a fight or an argument with anybody. See, that's the thing. I have people in my life who are no longer in my life, but they're not in my life because we fought. It's not in my life. They're not in my life because we stole or betrayed. Things in my life just run out. They run out organically, and I am fine with that. And the people who I'm with on the other side seem to be fine because they never hold any grudges. We don't hold grudges against each other. Sometimes things just play out because they're there for that moment in time in life only. So back to this podcasting. So in this podcasting, like I said, sometimes I have 4 or 5 people. If you listen to some of my old shows, sometimes there were 4, 5, 6 people joining in on the conversation, depending on what they were. But then I figured out that nobody was going to have the dedication to plan, execute, come up with ideas, the energy, the effort, the study, the lack of fear of being ridiculed for what I say. And then I figured out, you know what? It's not their thing. So why would they go out of their way to continue to help me to do what I want to do when it's not their thing? So you can't hold that against anybody. If it's not their thing, and if they loan any support, that's more support than you could ever ask for. Somebody doing something that's really not of them, they're lending their love to you in a way. So I go out my own. I execute on my own. I come up with my own original ideas, my own truths. I went out and brought my own equipment, got my own lead in music, got my own logo. These are things that I do. I don't need anybody to do it because I'm self reliant. I'm self sufficient. I live on that doctrine. It's gospel to me. It's gospel. If I say that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If it kills me to do it, I'm going to try my very best to do it. So, as far as I'm concerned, I then spoke about being a one-man army, legally dangerous, golf, drums, and podcasting. And now, hey, what's going on? Welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. Today, we're going to talk about, before we get to AFC Championship, NFC Championship news, RIPs, sports, uh, the Royal Rumble, etc. I want to talk about why is anybody, and I mean anybody, impressed with how much time somebody has served or can serve, and they can serve it honorably if they served it as a coward. How and why does that affect anybody? Now, I understand it's a lot of people's hustle on YouTube to tell their war stories of the penitentiary. And I understand that to a degree it might be interesting. To me, I find it highly ridiculous. I don't find it interesting at all. Everybody's experience are going to be different because how you conduct yourself in the street might be how you have to conduct yourself in the penitentiary. If you were somebody, if you wasn't about taking no shit and you willing to go all out, why wouldn't you still have that same demeanor as you incarcerated? And I understand that. Maybe there's a lot of cowards out there who don't understand and they think that because you tell them a story of what to expect on the first day, that that'll be their first day. They living in some kind of fantasy island. But that's garbage. And if these people aren't telling you about a lot of other things when they tell you these stories, because I've known tons of people been to jail. I'm talking prison. And never once did I ever ask them this question. How is it in there? No, I asked them how they were doing. What did they need? When would they be calling me on a weekly basis? How much money do you want me to send in commissary to put on your books? Or what do you want me to package for you and send you as a gift? Do you want some Jack Mac? Do you want some noodles? Whatever the fuck it may be. You need some books? That type of thing. That's my only interest on anybody who's ever been incarcerated. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why it's really not that interesting a story. First thing first, everybody's going to say I was incarcerated. I was banging the hottest COs in the prison system. They all look like Beyoncé's and Sierra's and Rihanna's and Britney Spears, and they couldn't keep their hands off of me. Well, you know what? That might be somebody's particular story. But for the most part, no, it's a sausage factory. It's men who are incarcerated around nothing but other men. 17 states have uh, conjugal visit programs, and that number has decreased. Now, that number was in 1993. We're down to only currently 4 states that even have conjugals. That's California, Connecticut, New York, and Washington. And they don't allow your girlfriend or a hooker to come hook up with you. So if somebody's telling you any kind of bullshit like that, and they're from one of these states I mention, they're jiving you. because it is no constitutional right to have conjugal visits. Now, if you're in the federal prison system, conjugal visits aren't even allowed. So that takes that off. Now, on top of it, you are sitting now around with a criminal record. People don't like to talk about the gay for stay. Now, not just gay for stay, but straight up male rape. Now, this gay for stay thing is fucking ridiculous because if you're willing to do homosexual acts behind the cage, more than likely you're willing to do homosexual acts while you're in the free world. It's the same thing, and now you have choices and more options. Now, I don't hold anything against anybody for being a homosexual, but this myth that everybody goes to the penitentiary, and I'm sure YouTubes are full of them, doing these 10, 15-year bids, and they've never done anything at all, just fee bags or whatever the fuck they humping on, which makes no sense because now you have to have discipline and control. If you're not gay, you can't be enticed to be gay because some boy is younger than you and pretty or whatever. So that's no reason. Then do they talk about the shit food? I mean, I would not eat ramen noodles as a free man. Now, ramen noodles and these mix-ups of cakes and stuff are some kind of extraordinary birthday shit. Like I said, I've sent plenty of cans of Jack Mac to people, tuna, all kinds of crap food that they would never touch in the free world. And I know that none of these guys ever touch since they've been back in the free world. So if anybody's trying to make ramen noodles mixed up with some bullshit sausage sound like it's enticing, that's crazy. Now you're talking about having limited rights. Limited rights when you even enter back into society. That includes housing, the ability to get certain welfares and pensions, the no ability to own handguns anymore. In some places, in some instances, you have problems even getting back parental rights because you have been incarcerated. You're now a felon. You lose the ability to be called by your name. You are a number in the system paperwork. You're a number. You're not a name. Names are common. Your number is specific to you. I mean, as you're locked up, you got to deal with claustrophobia if you're not a person who's used to be confined. I mean, you could be on lockdown for 23 and 1, depending on what's going on, and it might not have nothing to do with you. Once again, not impressive, not impressed by anybody being able to survive this. I'm not impressed by anybody having went through this. You know, you got probation, parole. Even when you're free, you're not fully free. Your parole officer might say that they don't want you to drink, they don't want you to smoke weed, they don't want you to go around certain type of people, and so they're controlling you. Now we have the prison yards when they, in some states, you have a cage within the prison yard. That's your workout area, a cage. Like if though you are a cat or a dog, you are now in a cage. You have to deal with prison politics, whatever they may be. They might be gang politics, they might be religion politics, they might be some tribal shit going on. These are things you don't have to deal with as a free person. You have no privacy. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the place is buzzing, and you need to take a dump. But now you have to figure out all these ingenious ways. One thing I will give prisoners, they come up with all these ingenious ways of doing shit that they didn't put into play when they were in the free world. They learned how to take wires and make ovens. They learn how to iron shit without an iron. They learn how to cook things without a stove. These are things that you can put into place in the free world so that you don't ever have to be impressed by being in a penitentiary. A man's ass becomes a purse. Our anal cavities are not purses, but they become a purse inside the judicial system. in the penitentiary system, people transport. I mean, this is an area that you don't shove anything up unless you are into some kind of anal activity. It is not normal. It is not to be impressed upon that somebody can shove large amounts of things, including weapons, in their keister. It's just not cool. I mean, you have to deal with uncleanliness, disease, bed bugs, rats, roaches. There are a lot of people locked up who have mental illness. They have all kinds of disease, STDs, gonorrhea, syphilis, HIV. Everybody's not isolated from everybody else. You know, like I said this before, a judge has every right to deny you parental rights because of your criminal record, and especially depending on what you were convicted of. You may and may not ever get the right to vote. That varies from state to state. Only 28 states allow you to serve on a jury. Some restrictions are permanent. The right to possess firearms and ammunition, that's out the window. Right to certain employment and housing. There are certain kind of jobs that you will never be able to get because you can't be bonded, you can't be licensed. Traveling internationally to some countries, you can be refused because you are a felon. Visas can be denied. You know, so I'm not impressed by the fact that a man can survive going to the penitentiary. What impresses me is the ability for a man to figure out a way, non-criminally, to take care of himself, to take care of his family, to make sure that he has food on the table, that he educates himself, and he learns to be able to maneuver. See, one thing in common with everybody that's locked up, and that includes, unfortunately, the innocent. You took a L. You took a loss. Somebody said you were guilty or you copped out to something. Free people who are not in front of a judge, a jury, or grand jury do not end up in the penitentiary. It's not a weekend retreat. Nobody says, let me just spend a week in Attica. Let me spend a week in Ossining. Let me spend a week in Sing Sing. This is not a bed and breakfast. Your life can be changed in a heartbeat walking through the gates of any penitentiary, any place, and that includes just county jail, because you don't know what's on somebody's mind. You don't know what they're going through, who they lost, how angry they are. They could be a murderer, cold-blooded. I mean, so I'm, like I said, once again, it's not an impressive situation. Impress somebody by living a clean life. Impress somebody by helping others, not selling drugs and destroying your community, not killing innocent people. I mean, prisons are full with a lot of rats who have ratted on other people and have been ratted on themselves. It's full with a lot of predators. And I will admit, I said this before, I'm going to reiterate, it is full with a lot of people who got caught up in some shit. They're taking a case for a buddy because they're loyal and they refuse to be a rat. But you know what? Like I said, if you want to make this your hustle and don't tell the whole story, then go fuck yourself, man. To make it look like I'm just so bad without telling the horror, tell the fucking horror, tell the horror. And I'm not talking about a fight. I'm not talking about some fucking cowboy CO who made your life miserable. Tell the horror of that man that you seen who cried because he'd never be able to speak to his fucking kids again. Tell those horrors. Tell the story that nobody wants to go there. And if you're sitting back and you are impressed with a place that is filthy, dangerous, no freedoms, no rights, being told when to rise, when to shine, when to stop, when to go, then you are in trouble and you need some help. So I'm done with that, and I'm now going to move on to the regular portion of the show. Don't be impressed that somebody can walk a yard. You're walking the toughest yard in the entire world. It's called the free world. Anything that can happen in a penitentiary that proves some man's toughness, multiply it by 10 in the real world, because you can be walking in a neighborhood where a gunplay could happen, a bomb could go off. So real life trumps that life when it comes to toughness. It's just, for some reason, we look at this place as some kind of it's romanticized. I don't know why the penitentiary is romanticized by people, and it shouldn't. It's YouTube. I post my videos on YouTube. I am a talk podcast. I do not have a video at all of myself while I'm talking. I don't think that it's important that you see the facial expressions in my background when I speak. I think the most important thing that's going on with me are the words that are coming out of my mouth. So I do not do a video podcast, but YouTube is inundated. It is literally flooded with some of the most untalented vulture type copycats and parasites. And you say, why are you being so harsh? It's a great medium for people who have some form of originality. You can take the same exact subject matter as another person and make it your own. But these people are copying. They are copying down to the point of using the stupid uh, clickbait, stupid faces. I mean, these are grown adults. These are people who go to work, I would assume, have children, some of them, and they're sitting there with these shocked looks as though uh, the Lord Himself has walked through the front door. I think it's horrible. I think it shows a lack of pride. You're selling out. You're willing to do anything for that click to potentially make money. And I think that does not make sense to me. It really makes zero sense. I think that you still become an adult. You stay an adult, remain an adult. I don't believe that the most successful people are going out of their way to look an ass so that you would click on them because you look so shocked, as though you just shitted on yourself. I mean, it really makes no sense. And the copycatting, the lack of originality. Say one person takes off for first time reaction, and before you know it, there's 9 million first time reactions, not done in any kind of different way, but the same kind of way. Now you have YouTube flooded with the prison stories. You have YouTube flooded with the I was a gangster story. Now, the people who bother me, I think, the most, and I'm going to put those first timers in this category. These are the vultures who actually live, breathe, and eat off the flesh of other people's talents, other people's beefs, other people's situations. People who sit in the little corner of a box in their video while they play a video of someone else doing an activity and then trying to comment on it as though they are adding or subtracting from what is going on. Okay, you got a million of these people with this whack 100. They're not involved in the conversation. They're not involved with the argument, but they will spend the whole day playing sound clips of another person's beefing, another person's arguing, and then make it seem as though they've done something, when you could just go listen to the original and make up your own determination about what's going on. Now you say, how does that separate a person who does sports, news, social commentary? Well, here's the difference. The difference is you have to, on the fly, with a feeling, a suggestion, or a commentary to what is going on in the world. There is nobody else there. There is nobody else to take advantage of a situation. I will never use a sound clip of another human being on this show. It's just not what I do. I mean, if that's the way you want to conduct yourself, and maybe I don't have the right, but I'm taking the right because this is Strange Talk with Doc, and this is pretty much a dictatorship. This is not a democracy. It's my deal. I go on when I want. I go on if I don't want. My subject matter is my own. I don't take other people's subject matters. I don't run with other people's suggestions. I do my own thing. But I would like to see somebody, literally, the originators. I wish them nothing but best. I am talking about the people who created these genres. I mean, there was a young black man a couple of years ago who did videos about hoods. He would go to some of the most dangerous hoods in America. He would drive his car, put his health at risk to go to these hoods. He wasn't welcome. Nobody laid out a red carpet for him. And then a white guy came, and this white dude obliterated this black guy because young black men across the country, as will happen a lot of times, will put a red carpet out for a stranger as opposed to one of their own. So now this white dude is now the biggest guy in the hood videos. He might have never ever been to a hood in his life, but now he is in the jungle exploring. And like I said, being given a complete and utter red carpet to neighborhoods, gang members, where they are protecting his comings, they're protecting his goings, they're giving him carte blanche. The same thing that they would not afford another black man. Because if it was true, then you would see black YouTubers out there doing it. So listen, if you're one of those copycatters, you're one of those vultures, you're one of those parasites who live off the talents and things of other people, at least be original in the way that you deliver your product. Okay, everybody knows that there are a million hamburgers, but everybody does not make their hamburger exactly the same. And that's where the originality comes from. Can you mix up your hamburger where it tastes, it looks, it it satisfies the soul a little bit different than just everybody else. And if you can go to bed at night and wake up the next morning, look in the mirror and feel good about yourself, and you know that all you do is copycat other people's ideas, other people's views. I think some of these people are literally going in, watching other people do first reaction, and then pretending to have the same reaction that they seen somebody who's more successful. You're having so far a good luck. Very happy day after Super Bowl day. Let's even discuss that just briefly. I think that the day after the Super Bowl should be a optional holiday, not just for men, for women. This should be one of those optional days that you get to take off. A lot of people came together yesterday. Before I get into the normal show, you know how I like to do. If you've been with me for any time, I've heard any strange talk with dogs, we're going to hit on a subject before we go to, and it's going to be really brief today. If it has been broken, it's your job to get it fixed. If it has been broken beyond repair, let it go. Move on to something else. Buy a new one. Get a new person. Remove that person from your life. Because if it's broken and you're still trying to make it work, it doesn't make sense. Just use your head. Move on. Sometimes things break for a reason. And I'm talking relationships. I'm talking physical things. And it's all right. Save, squirrel away. Make sure that you're prepared for the inevitable. Things wear out. Sometimes things play out and you can just let it go. You don't have to sweat it so much. That's basically what I'm saying. Don't sweat it. You have to be brave enough. Just grow a pair. Either you fight to fix it or you fight to make sure that you can replace it. To the show, before we move on to the All-Star break, wrestling and news and things like that, I got a simple question for you. Are you a follower? Do you need to be led? And if you do, let me lead you. I'm not saying I want to be your cult leader. I'm not saying that I want to be your guru. But it's saying not just me, but find a good leader. Good leaders are not hard to find. Open your eyes, look at people who are successful at things that you are lacking success in, and those are the people who can help guide you. I know that people are scared to lead. It is lonely being in the front of the pack. It is a very lonely place. It is not a lot of people's comfort zones. But see, one thing about leaders, good leaders once followed somebody. We don't know it all. We have never known it all, nor will we ever know it all. You learn by sitting at the feet of those who've been places you haven't been. See, the lion is the king of the jungle, but he learns about the ocean from the fish. I know it's a metaphor, but it's the truth. He's never been there. He doesn't know how it is to live there. If you have a lack and you are trying to do something and you have no success in it, the best way to get success in anything is to listen, to at least evaluate what is being said by people who are successful in the field of endeavor that you are trying to pursue. And it's not how many people you ever get to follow you that counts. It is not how many people that you can get to put as a feather in your cap that look at how many people that I lead. I'm a gang leader. I have 30,000 gang members underneath me. I'm a this, that, or the other, and I have all these people who follow me. The only thing that matters for a leader is how many other leaders that leader can create. If that leader cannot create leaders, he or she has failed. That is their number one job. A leader wants to create other leaders. They want to create other bosses. And that's how they remain in power. They get moved further up the food chain because there's more people underneath them who have more people underneath them. And as you see, it's like an anthill, it grows. Find a mentor, find a teacher, find a course of study that involves sitting at the foot of somebody else who knows better than you. Put your pride aside. This is what it takes to truly lead or to be led. You must put your pride aside. Your leader or your mentor is not your friend. They are your guide. They might have knowledge or insight of something that you cannot personally see. I boxed. I had a coach. When my coach told me to do certain things at certain times, without question, I did them because I knew this was another set of eyes that were more skilled, seen more things than I'd ever seen or will ever see. And I sometimes robotically did them, and they always turned out for my betterment because I could not see everything. And this person was put in my life at a moment in time in my life to make sure that I could get to where I needed to be. Once again, I'm going to reiterate and I'm going to move on from this. Don't be scared to be in the front of the pack. It's a lonely place. It's a responsibility. With certain responsibilities in life comes downfalls. It's not always sunshine and roses. There are going to be things that are going to be hard, but you can't get ahead following your whole life. You cannot move to the place that you need to move in life as only a follower. Followers don't make good parents. Followers don't make good grandparents. There has to be a set of balls on a person to be able to step out on their own and say, I'm not going to go with the masses on everything. I have a brain, a functioning brain. I'm going to use it. I've been blessed with common sense. Use your common sense. Don't be easily led astray. We all know that Russia, Ukraine, and maybe even Belarus is involved in a situation over there. My heart goes out to all the innocents. You know what? Governments start wars. People die in wars. War is not the answer. I hope for peace. I hope that this thing doesn't escalate to a ridiculous level and that we can continue our lives as normal. But it's a scary situation when other people control the levers, the bombs, the codes. You know how that goes. And I just wanted to say that. Now, today, we're going to deal with the topic of death to all clickbaiters. I do not mean a literal death to the clickbaiters. I mean a financial embarrassment. I mean a breakdown of the viewership to their channels. I believe that clickbait is bullshit. I believe it's a fraud. I believe that they're cowards. They're failed. They are afraid to be honest because if they're honest about their content, they might fail. They might not get the clicks that they want. And they, for some emotional lack, can't handle any form of failure. When I put up a post and I put up a title, I always discuss what I am talking about. That's just me. uh, you waste people time, you waste people going to look for you. They may need help, and I'm going to get to a quick story about that in a second. So every chance that you get to expose a clickbaiter, they have a comment. If their comments are active, post. You clickbait MF or whatever comes to your mind, whatever's on your heart. Don't let them feel that they can get away with it. You could do this within 30 seconds so that they don't even get credit for a view, because this is bullshit. This weekend, I had some major computer problems. As I had discussed a couple of weeks ago, my mother in law died. I set up a recovery disk and I did the wrong thing. I saved it to an external hard drive. And if you know anything about computers, when you save recovery to any file, it deletes the other files. So it took my 1 terabyte external hard drive down to a 32 megabyte recovery disk. So I lost precious pictures, videos that I had for my wife of her mother that we could never recover. So, like a lunatic, I'm hunting everywhere for a solution to this problem because I'm not a person that deals with the problem. I'm looking for the solution. My issue is always how can we resolve this? Not how can I live in the muck and mire of the problem, but how can I make this recoverable? So I go to a bunch of different sites, most of them clickbaits, no help whatsoever. I finally find some people who are righteous, who actually talked about what the problem was and how to solve the problem. I followed instructions, and needless to say, I am back up and running. I am still running recoveries and gaining more data back, which is a beautiful thing. And so I reached out to a buddy of mine, and I want to say, E, if you're listening, I appreciate you, man. I don't go to people for help much. I don't go to people for help often. But you were correct. When I ask for help, I really have a problem. To me, this was a problem that was much bigger than myself. It was in an area of expertise that I do not have. I don't know it all. And he reached out to me and he let me know that it was all right sometimes to ask for help. And I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that in a kind manner, that even a person like me is all right. So I appreciate you once again, E, and I thank you very much, brother. But let's round on these clickbaiters, man, because they are liars, they are frauds, they are a thief of your time. They have no honor. All they care about is a view and a click, and they don't care how your time is spent, and time is valuable. Look at this world. We have a pandemic. We have threats of World War III. So time is precious, people, and it can't be wasted on those who are trying to fraud, like scam. Day 12 of this Russian-Ukrainian thing. I wanted to just mention that first. This is not a political podcast. We do talk some politics, but I'm not going to go into detail on a war. That's not my forte. That's not my expertise. But I do want to start off by saying a completely honest person cannot be conned, even by the world's best con artists. I'm going to explain it to you. Now, I didn't say you can't be cheated, you can't be robbed, you can't be fooled, or you can't be tricked. I said you cannot be conned. A person that is looking for a con is also looking for a mark that's looking for something for nothing. If you are looking for something for nothing, you can be tricked. You can be fooled. But if you're a person who is always honest with yourself, like, okay, I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios. A week or two ago, I get a strange text message. Hey, blah, blah, blah. How are you doing? So I hit the person back and say, no, not me. You're talking to the wrong person. So she sends me a picture. I guess this is to entice me. It wasn't a nude or anything, but to entice me. I still was not interested. I said, I'm a married man. It's not my ball game. I pick and choose if I was going to play games who I play with. Okay. So she tries to keep the conversation going. So this was a plan or a trick in her way to get me to either one, send her some information or click on a link to something that does not belong to me. You get these emails about packages that you know that you did not order, but they want you to sign in and they will send them to you freely. So you are waiting and you are susceptible to being conned. Now I'm going to go into later. I got airbrushed this week, the Amazon brushing. I was a victim of Amazon brushing. This was due to no fault of my own, but I'm kind of glad in a way that this happened because it allowed me to secure my websites, change passwords, change codes, do double verifications, and a whole bunch of other things. You got to remember, if something don't smell right or don't feel right, question it. Question yourself. You have to admit to yourself who you are and what you are. Are you a person looking for the cheap? I mean, I lived in New York City, man. We had three comp Monty. We had the shell game. I knew from young when somebody's just telling you, we just throwing money at you for no apparent reason that you did not earn, that you do not deserve. So you have to think about what you earned, what you deserve, and then read in between the lines. You know, you're going to lose every once in a while. Nobody's perfect, and you have to accept the fact that you can lose. But when somebody's giving you an opportunity for a golden opportunity, a no can lose opportunity, you are being fooled. You are being tricked. You have to have the mentality of the no hands out. You have to be able to say, I want to earn it. If somebody comes up to you, like I said, once again, I know I'm belaboring this point, with a golden, cannot believe opportunity, you have to say to yourself, did I do anything in this universe to deserve such a gift from a stranger when there are other people who may be more deserving? Not to say that you don't deserve the best of everything that you possibly can get in this world. I'm sure you do feel that way. But it's just we have to be realistic. Con people out there, they're everywhere. They run into you at Walmart. They run into you at a grocery store. They run into you in a parking lot while you just going to work. And they will plant these seeds. They practice planting these seeds. They practice against Mr. and Mrs. Jones. This is what they do. They practice what's called the art of the comeback. The comeback is anything that you can say to a person to deter them from getting what they need. They have an answer to it. So you have to be on your P's and you have to be on your Q's. So once again, if you are a completely honest person, you cannot be conned. You can't. You have to come to the determination that maybe you're not as honest as you think you are. As you know, with a topic. And my topic today is cliches and other popular phrases that are, for the most part, just bullshit. Okay? We want to deal with these. These are, cliches are phrases and opinions that are basically overused. They lack original thought. They are stereotypes in some manners. This is an old term, come from the French. Uh, they now have become negative stereotypes and meanings, ideals and standards. They're somebody else's moral compasses. So we should try not to use any of these if necessary. And let's go through them pretty quick. Don't cry over spilt milk. Okay, that's kind of self-explanatory. What adult's going to cry over spilt milk? Get some more milk, pour another jug, another glass. Get some more for your cereal. It's no big deal. More money, more problems. Straight out lie. Less money, more problems. A person with more money can survive. A person with no money is homeless. They might not get medical attention. All a person with money needs to learn to do is manage their money and have the ability to say no to people asking for handouts. Every cloud has a silver lining. Is that really true? Some clouds are just dark, black, and foreboding. cat got your tongue? What cat has your tongue? You just are blaming something for your lack of ability to speak on a subject. When it rains, it pours. No time. Sometimes it's a drizzle. So that's a straight out lie. You're dressed to kill. No, you're sharp as attack. Another one that's bullshit. Dressed to kill, sharp as attack. Neither one of them make pretty much any sense. Splitting image. No, you look very familiar or similar to another individual, but you're not the splitting image. Unless you're a twin, it's nonsense. Don't judge a book by its cover. Sometimes you can judge a book by its cover if you are literally talking about a book. It could be from your favorite artist. The artwork on the book could intrigue you. It could have cliff notes. Let's not forget, you are judging a book by its cover. It also has a back cover. That back cover sometimes gives you a synopsis of what the story may be on, and could be exactly what you're looking to study, pursue, or learn about. When you got health, you got everything. That's not true. You can be a madman with health. You could be serving a 125-year prison term with perfect health. You can be homeless with perfect health. You can be friendless, despondent, suicidal with perfect health. Don't take any wooden nickels. In my lifetime, there has never been a thing called a wooden nickel. Happy as a clam. Do we know if clams are happy or not? Really, do we know? Do as I say, not as I do. That's just somebody just straight out bullshitting you. My advice is good for you, but it's not good for myself. You can understand that. Ignorance is bliss. So being stupid to a situation gives you the ability to feel blissful about the situation. No, you're just ignorant. And there's never any bliss in being totally ignorant to any subject matter. Better safe than sorry. Why? Sometimes you need to be in danger to actually be alive. And to be safe at all times is a fantasy. It also doesn't make sense. That means you take no chances. You don't explore the possibility of failure and success. That's a coward to stay safe. Better than sorry. A face only a mother could love also does not make sense. So what about your father? He can't love that face. Your grandmother can't love that face. You can't potentially have such a great personality that other people won't love you just because you're not what's quote unquote considered attractive. A fool and his money are soon parted. There are a lot of rich fools. A lot of rich fools who have so much money they can't even be separated from the amount of money that they have. That's almost giving too much credit to people who have money, that they are smarter than others, which is not true. A friend in need is a friend indeed. That is a user. A friend in need. So they saying the person in need is your friend for the fact that they might have a need that you can meet, but they're not your friend. Frog in my throat. You have a raspy voice. There's no frog in your throat. Human beings don't get frogs caught in their throat. And if they do, they're going to choke us to death. You woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Okay, you got an attitude. You're not having a very good morning, but you woke up in a bed. There is no wrong side of the bed. However you laid in the bed was the proper way to lay in that bed on that particular night. The early bird gets the worm. You know what? The bird that also shows up 2 hours later might be able to get the worm if there are enough worms out there. Now, we understand none of this stuff is to be taken literal, but these are terms that don't have to be used because they are based in bullshit. Try everything once. Yeah, try Oxycontin once, try heroin once, try fentanyl once, try cocaine, crack cocaine once. Try running across a train track with the train coming. This is an asinine term. There's no time like the present. Sometimes we must wait. Sometimes we must wait for the right opportunity, the right situation, the right chance. We are not always ready to just leap out in situations, so this makes no sense. It's the little things that count. It's also the big things that count, the medium-sized things that count. Everything counts. It's not just the little ones. The little ones are part of the story, but it's not the whole story. Money talks. No, money moves shit. Money makes things happen. Money buys things. Money gets you ups. It gets you possessions. It gets you some needs and some wants. But it's not the only thing that talk, because a broke person can also move mountains. Words are powerful. They're swords. They cut down things. They break things down. They educate people. They raise people up. So money is not the only thing that talks on this planet. A watch pot never boils. A pot will boil at the proper temperature, at the proper amount of time, each and every time. This is a scientific fact. This is bullshit to say a watch pot. It's just that you are dealing with an impatient situation that you need to deal with within yourself. The more things change, the more they stay the same. If they change, they are no longer the same. So I'm not even going to delve into that. More things change, the more they stay the same. No, your opinion, your attitude about it may remain, but things that change is automatically states they are not the same if they changed. Better the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. What about neither one of those devils? You don't need either one of those devils. It actually, I think it would hurt more for the devil to be the person that you know, because that's a betrayal. See, the devil you don't know, they're not betraying you. They're just being true to their form. They don't owe you anything. But the person that you consider to be somebody and they turn up to be the devil to you, that's got to be more painful. Money is the root of all evil. False to begin with. The love of money is the root of all evil. And because money is not the root of all evil, money does a lot of good for a lot of people in this world. It helps people in situations. If you were a rich person and you had gobs of money, unlimited spending amount, you could make sure that people ate. You could make sure that people were clothed. You could make sure that people got medical condition, health. You can make sure that they had housing. You could help them to become educated. So money is not the root of all evil. Easy come, easy go. What are you talking about here? What's easy to come and what's easy to go? Is it life? Is it finances? Is it people? It's too vague a subject to even touch on. Money burns a hole in your pocket or purse. No, it doesn't. It literally, money does not combust on its own. It's not flammable without a substance put to it to make it burn. So it does not burn money in your pocket. This is also a mentality thing where a person cannot handle having finances, so they spend it like a fool. Put your best foot forward. We walk off the proper foot each and every time. Which foot do you consider to be your best? Do you have one foot that is better than the other foot? I have 2 feet. I consider them to be equals. One I step off of, one I step down off of. We don't even consciously think about what foot we put forward. And here's the one I really like. I stay ready so I don't have to get ready. A person who stays ready is constantly getting ready. They are constantly improving on situations. This is a fluid situation. It's not a stand put situation where you are, I am set and I'm ready. No, because life is fluid. And because life is fluid, it is ever changing. So what's ready 2 weeks ago ain't going to be ready 2 months from now. So you constantly changing. So when a person says, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready, they're talking foolishness to you. And thanks for sticking through that portion of the cliches and popular phrases that I consider to be utter bullshit. Is your ceiling very high? Or is it the perspective that you get because you're lying on the floor? What I mean by that is, how do you look at things? If you have something that you're trying to accomplish, do you look at it? If you're trying to save money, are you looking at it in how many dollars you saved, how many pennies you saved, how many nickels you saved? If you're trying to lose weight and you have a goal, do you judge it by how many pounds you've lost, kilos you lost, kilograms, milliliters? I mean, it's how we look at things, because if you lay flat on the floor and you look up at any ceiling, the distance between where you are laying and that ceiling is going to be very, very high. I don't care if you only have a 7-foot ceiling, that is a tall distance. We have to look at the things that we want to accomplish in even the most minute advances possible. You can take a step by step. If it leads you towards your goal, you are getting closer to your accomplishments. So don't downgrade yourself. Now, I took the inspiration for this title, "The Ceiling is So High When You're Lying on the Floor." I'm going to admit that I took the concept from Eddie Vedder. He had a song out with the Earthlings, and this was one of the songs on the album. This is not the title, but this was a line from the song. So I have to give credit where credit is due. But the thought put a spark in my brain. If you are trying to do anything, don't just focus on the end goal. Please focus also on the steps that it takes, the baby steps that allow you to then take full grown steps and then leaps towards your goal. As long as you don't go backwards, you're heading forwards. I mean, you could sometimes stay neutral, but the idea is to regroup when you're neutral, but to never go back. And I didn't want to go on and on about that, but I just want you to put that bug in your ear that the ceiling is very high when you're laying on the floor. We like to do this bad boy here. We like to start this sucker off with a question. Sometimes it's a statement, but sometimes it's a question. And let me ask you, what will be your legacy? Do you even care what your legacy will be? What are you going to leave behind on this earth? Remember, the choice is yours. And legacy is quite simple. It's every single life that you touched. School, work, family, friends, if you have them, associates, neighbors, the people that you run into the grocery store, they are a part of your legacy. How do you deal with people? How do you treat people? How do you just want to be remembered on this earth? What kind of person were you? How strong are you committed to being who you say you are? See, a lot of people like to say who they are, but then not live the life that matches the words that come out their mouth. I am strong on my word means everything. If I say something to you or I say something to anybody, I'm going to go to the nth degree to make sure that that thing comes true, because I'm a thought out person, I think. I like to think that I'm a thought out person, that I'm a fair person, I'm an honest person. I'm not going to tell somebody anything just to make them feel good. I have to be honest. Sometimes truth hurts. Even when I speak to Doc himself. Now, I didn't know that I just went in the third person thing, and that's not a cool thing to do. But even when I speak to myself, because I do speak to myself internally, and I correct myself as many times as possible to make sure that I'm on the path that matches the words that come out of my mouth. Because I do a podcast and I could be called out on shit at any given time as a fraud, and I don't want to ever be a fraud. That is not how I want to go out on this earth. So this week, we're going to get to the show.